So hello, this is Yudis Kaja in Riga. I thought I would give a brief video update on my Substack from yesterday, from the 23rd. The Lithuanians have now officially said that the drone that crashed into a lake in southeastern Lithuania was probably launched, or very likely launched, from Ukraine and strayed off course as it was on the way to hit the Primorsk oil facilities in Russia near St. Petersburg. And that seems fairly credible, that it was perhaps diverted by electronic countermeasures or some other kind of failure. In any event, the drone crashed in a secluded lake where there are very few people. It is probably a place that would normally be a summer resort for Lithuanians, but at this time of the year there was no one there, although somebody in their presumably summer cottage had a surveillance camera on which filmed the drone falling and exploding on the surface of the ice in this lake. And you could also hear its engine going on for until the crash itself, as well as a flash and flame on the surface there for a while. The Lithuanian authorities are probably by now finished fishing out whatever was at the bottom of the lake, and will piece together a more complete picture of the drone that crashed in the next day or two. But basically the story is complete. It was a Ukrainian drone. It was heading for Russia and it got lost. And fortunately, if it was indeed carrying explosives, they detonated harmlessly on the surface of this ice-covered lake. Other than that, the whole issue of drones straying into Lithuanian airspace reignited a debate, mainly domestically, about air defense and air defense radars. And the commander of the Lithuanian armed forces at this press conference today, March 24, said that everything was being done to speed up the delivery of air defense radars and other air defense sensors and systems. But the capacity of the world industries to make these kind of systems was limited. The Prime Minister Ukrainian came up with an interesting analogy, saying that, well, she wished that the defense industry was like a shopping center where you could just go in there and buy whatever you needed, pick up missiles and rockets and air defense artillery or whatever, the way you could get groceries. But this is not the case. So that's where things stand with that rather dramatic development yesterday. And it was not the first. There were a couple of other drone intrusions into Lithuania last year, and but drones were not the main problem in Lithuanian airspace. It has been balloons up until very recently. Balloons bringing cigarettes to happy smokers in Lithuania and elsewhere, and flying over the border on the prevailing winds and interrupting with air traffic at Vilnius airport, and sometimes even further away from the Belarus border in Kaunas. But that problem seems to have been partly, or at least for the moment, solved. There have been no more reports of these drones, or not drones, but balloons showing up over near the airport. And also another issue seems to be resolving itself is that the Belarusian government has agreed to release some 1,900 Lithuanian registered trucks or lorries, whatever you want to call them in British English, that have been trapped in Belarus because of border closings and retaliation for Belarus not taking strong measures to stop the balloons and all of that. And now that seems to be resolving itself. A compromise may also be reached on paying parking fees, which for a while somebody thought that truckers would be charged 120 euro a day, and they've been there for weeks now for being trapped at the roadside or in improvised parking lots in Belarus. But that may be negotiated to a reasonable settlement, which of course leaves open the question as to what happened to all of the trucks that had perishable loads or time critical deliveries of other stuff. Who's going to pay for that? But those are issues to be solved in the future. Meanwhile, in Latvia, we had a government meeting today at which the government basically decided to try to reduce the excise tax on motor fuel, specifically on diesel, which is used to a large extent in agriculture, which, of course, in many ways determines the price of locally made vegetables and meat and groceries and everything. And the cut in the excise tax that they decided on is said to reduce the price of diesel by about 8.6 cents per liter, or 8.7 cents, whatever it was. The other two Baltic countries are also looking into stuff like this, and there are attempts to form a consensus of some sort within the European Union as to how to dampen the drastic rises in motor fuel prices and, of course, other uses of oil and petroleum caused by the war that was triggered by the Americans and the Israelis working together, resulting in the shutdown of the Gulf of Hormuz and the stopping of any kind of oil exports from the Gulf countries. The Gulf countries getting bombarded by Iranian drones and ballistic missiles and all sorts of other interesting stuff. All of which, I guess, nobody in Washington calculated, and maybe even nobody in Tel Aviv calculated. So there you have it. Us here in the Baltics trying to find ways to dampen the impact of this mess created by Donald Trump and his buddy Benjamin Netanyahu. Well, that's just my update for now. So this is Juris Kajas signing off from Riga, Latvia.